برهام باء وراء ألف ثم ها ميم مجل Faydatidiane jox ñu ñuy naan. ci seen taxawaay bu rafet ak jàppale fond bu Medina Baye moo waral fond Medina Baye jëmmal ak yaatal ay liggéeyam.
fond Medina Baye dañ koy sant ndax étape bi nga xam ne ci fond bi ñëw na defal ñu xéewal yi ndimbal lu mag li fekkoon na école bi soxla woon na ko sama mbokki taalibe maa ngi leen di ñaax lépp loo xam ne li fond bi woote na ko ci lu aju ci xidmaal Cheikh Ibrahima xidmaal xam-xam ngeen taxaw ci bu leen ci kenn jiitu.
mën ngeen a yónnee seeni ndimbal ci numéro yii di ñëw Orange Money ak Wave ci 77 481 04 04 code marchand ci 24 04 84 wala ngeen yónnee ci Free Money 76 266 68 68.
fond bi amul projet bu ëpp néeg baay bi bu dee 100 millions pour mu baax dinañ ko def ci àddina bi yëpp ci diaspora bi. ngi defar un appel solennel di wax ne fond bi bu doon réhabilité néeg Baye Niass bii rek jar na lépp lu nit man mu def ko ci maktab bi nga xam ne fond bi moo koy àggali te ñu ngi ci nii ci raax bi pour que gan yi mën fa dal aussi en masse mu nekk benn R+2 boo xam ne lu néew capacité d'accueil bi suñ ko utiliser ci gàmm gi mën na jël 1000 personnes.
ngir am ci ay leeral mën ngeen a woote ci 77 481 04 04 77 527 67 67 77 354 95 56.
kuy tabaxu nag foog nga am dara kuy am dara nag yaay génne dara ah yéen di ngeen di wax money nekk da money ah voilà donc dañoo bëgg xaalis bon ay foog ñu joxe xaalis pour am xaalis yàlla ñu yàlla dimbale ci loolu. te buñ ko defee dinañ gis barke boo xam ne géntuñ ko woon man naa leen ko wax du man maa ko wax sax waaye bàyyi moo ko wax moo ko wax ci ay baytu yoo xam ne def leen nii bon di ngeen am lu ngeen foogutoon ne mun ngeen ko am te lii ci la bokk fond bi géntuñ ko woon waaye gis nga tëb na rek feeñ ci àddina.
Okay, in this case, my dear beloved, or my beloved was a dear friend, and loving her was driving me to find the sheikh. It is the beauty of the beloved that stirs love in the heart. I took the Tariqa with Sheikh Mahi Sise almost a year later, and since then, I've come to realize that the beauty I saw in my friend was in reality the beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah put love in my heart for her, and so deeply that I yearned.
Américain yi jéego ba agsi fii ci Medina Baye tàmbalee ko ci yëngatu imam Hassan Cissé radiyallahu anhu tudd na ci jëmm yi gën a ràññeeku ci ñi njëkk a uy si ci moom ak naka la dox bi di doxee bay agsi ci ñoom tey jii moom mi nga xam ne docteur la jàng ba am doctorat ci université Amérique yi di jàngalekat di bindkat bokk ci taalibe yi suñu mbokk porte-parole de la Hadra Cheikh Mouhamed Mahi Cissé ñi ngi ñaan yàlla yokk ko gudd fan te dëgëral ko yaakaar.
Okay, in this case, my dear beloved, or my beloved was a dear friend, and loving her was driving me to find the sheikh. It is the beauty of the beloved that stirs love in the heart. I took the Tariqa with Sheikh Mahi Sise almost a year later, and since then, I've come to realize that the beauty I saw in my friend was in reality the beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah put love in my heart for her, and so deeply that I yearned for a sheikh, because Allah wanted for me true love. Sheikh Mahi once said, If you love the mashayikh for the sake of Allah, you will follow in their footsteps, which is to follow the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and your ending will be their ending. This is the real love. The way that love led me to this path intrigues me, making me interested in the ways that other women have come to Tariqa Tidianiya. As a scholar of race and gender and Islam in America, I have always taken an interest in how American women came to Islam and how they navigated Islamic gender roles and practices, some of which can seem unfair by American standards. As I explore the topic of gender in American women's journey to the Tariqa, I'm also finding that love for the beloved is a common theme when American women tell their stories of taking the Tariqa through Sheikh Hassan Sisi radiallahu anhu. While love for a beloved may not have compelled them to the path, as in my case, once Sheikh Hassan came into their lives, the journey became one of finding true love for Allah's beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hajja Dr. Karima Joseph, the wife of the late Imam Salim Joseph, became Muslim in 1969 and took the Tariqa in 1985 in Detroit. A group of brothers had attended a conference with Sheikh Hassan and afterwards brought him to the home of Dr. Karima's friend. When the two women joined them in the living room, this is what happened. We went in and we were like two schoolgirls giggling and looking at Sheikh. And he greeted us, and we just instantly fell in love with him. You immediately felt compassion and kindness from him. We had never met a sheikh that felt like he was a friend. More than a friend even, but a best friend. This is truly one of Sheikh Hassan's most mentioned prophetic qualities. If you want to know the character of the Prophet ﷺ, anything you've read about the Prophet, Sheikh Hassan embodied it. Sheikh Hassan would literally make you feel like you were his best friend, Dr. Karima declared, making reference to how the Prophet ﷺ made everyone feel most beloved to him. I am reminded of this line by Sheikh Ibrahim in Sir al-Qawb. If they beheld my image, in reality, they would not see anyone except the beloved ﷺ, whom we are enjoying. The early American murids of Sheikh Hassan understood this. He was the best example of the Prophet that we knew, Dr. Karima expressed. And the Americans were fascinated about how intimately he knew them. He's got millions of murids, and every time he answers the phone, he knows their name, and he knows what they sound like, and he knows their family, Dr. Karima said admiringly. Access to Sheikh Hassan took on an added layer of significance for women. When we went in to see Sheikh, he made sure that the sisters got in there. We were never blocked from seeing Sheikh. Some of his biggest American murids were female. Sister Ashaki, Sister Kareem Abdul Kareem, Sister Aisha Jeffrey, Sister Zakiya Madyun, Dr. Khadija, and on and on and on, she said. Around the world, including America, women are not guaranteed access to sheikhs to the extent that men are. It is against this backdrop that American women describe Sheikh Hassan's rapport and relationship with women. Haja Ashaki Taha Sise, one of the famous women murids mentioned earlier, wrote, Sheikh Hassan's treatment of and relationship with his female murids is especially noteworthy. He encouraged sisters to pursue beneficial knowledge through study and reflection, and encouraged our love for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ through dhikr. Sheikh Hassan radiallahu anh appointed many muqaddams, including those muqaddam muqlad ijazas. To intimately capture how American women form beautiful bonds with Sheikh Hassan radiallahu anh through their khidmah or service, finding the beloved of Allah in him, I will focus on one woman, Haja Karima Abdul Kareem. She was among the first two Americans to take the Tariqa from Sheikh Hassan radiallahu anh. Haja Karima, born 1937, is most known as co-founder with Sheikh Hassan of the Quran School for Americans in Medina Bay, also attended by Africans. After visiting Medina Bay in 1982, she came up with the idea of the Quran School and her daughter attending it. She conveyed her vision to Sheikh in an 8-page letter. The school is today called the African American Islamic Institute. She is also known as the mother of the Yellow House, the first residence for American children to memorize the Quran there. In addition to her running the Yellow House, ensuring that meals were provided, laundry was done, sick children were cared for, she contributed financial resources for food and utility bills, which were very expensive. At one point, there were 33 children living in the Yellow House under Haja Karima's tender care. Occasionally, other parents would stay for their children, but most often, Haja Karima was the only parent there. Haja Karima shared a unique friendship with Sheikh Hassan, beginning with a visit to her home in 1976 and performing wazifa there. Later, she traveled by car with Sheikh Hassan and two of his close companions to Northwestern in Chicago to view a collection of West African manuscripts. Sheikh Hassan discovered original manuscripts by Sheikh Ibrahim Niyas in his handwriting. That inspired his interest in attaining a PhD at Northwestern University, and she greatly assisted in getting him admitted to the program. It is interesting that they first connected on this note because friendship and scholarship define their relationship. They talked all the time, and she even taught him how to cook chicken over the phone once when he studied at Northwestern. It was said that she could always make Sheikh laugh no matter what mood he was in. Before sharing more about Haja Karima's journey, here's a helpful timeline. In 1970, Haja Karima converted to Islam. In 1976, Haja Karima met Sheikh Hassan and took the Tariqa. In 1979, Haja Karima met Sheikh Saidi Ali Sise on a one-day visit to Medina Bay. In 1982, Haja Karima visited Medina Bay to give her condolences to the family on the passing of Saidi Ali Sise, radiallahu anh. Sheikh Hassan had ended his studies at Northwestern to replace his father as Imam of Medina Bay. Sheikh Hassan was an exceptional friend to Haja Karima, but also a scholar and constant teacher. Years after first meeting Sheikh Hassan in New York, the two were together in Medina Bay. Sheikh Hassan reminisced about their first meeting and told her that he noticed the way she stared at him. She explained why. "I never saw the light in someone like I saw in you." Amazingly, this account resembles an exchange between the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and Aisha radiallahu anha. One day the Holy Prophet was mending his shoe and I was working on the spinning wheel. As I looked up and I saw the forehead of the Holy Prophet ﷺ was glistening with sweat, and I saw a light gleaming in his forehead which continued to grow and spread. It was a sight to behold. I was watching with fascination. The Holy Prophet ﷺ looked up and asked, "Aisha, why are you looking so astonished?" I said, "O Prophet of Allah, I saw that your forehead is glistening with sweat and there is a light shining in it." I was totally spellbound. What makes this parallel further fascinating is Haja Karima saying, you read Quran, you read Hadith, and then you'll see it. In other words, you will see the Hadith come to life for you, and it did for her through Sheikh Hassan. Haja Karima loved to study Hadith even before meeting Sheikh Hassan. She became Muslim in 1969, and within the first 2 years of being Muslim, she dreamt of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. When I asked her if she even knew that early on as a convert that it was even possible to dream of the Prophet, she answered that she had read the Hadith, "Whoever sees me in a dream has actually seen me." But I never expected it for me, she said. Here's what she said about the dream. "The first time I dreamt about the Prophet ﷺ, I was making Fajr with him. Later, I went to work, and around 11 or 12, I thought, wait, I didn't pray Fajr, so I prayed it at work." After meeting Sheikh Hassan, she told him about this dream. He told his father, Ali Sise, she continued the story, and his father said, "I should not have made Salat again, because that was my Salat." After telling me this, Haja Karima noted that when the dream actually happened, again, well before she met Sheikh Hassan, she asked an Egyptian scholar from Azhar about it. She knew the scholar from the Islamic Center that she attended in New York, and he told her that she didn't have to make up her prayer either. Haja Karima added this detail that another scholar agreed with Saidi Ali Sise because she herself is a scholar. Sheikh Hassan noticed her affinity for Hadith study, encouraged her, and essentially groomed her to be a scholar. During one of his visits to the U.S., he asked her opinion on a fiqh question. She gave her answer. He corrected her with a different answer. She then reached out to one of the Azhar scholars at her masjid. He said that Hajja's answer was correct. But 5 minutes after he got off the phone, he called her back and told her that her research, he researched the question and found that he found that Sheikh was correct. After narrating this story, Hajja said, "That's what I liked about Sheikh Hassan from the beginning. He was a scholar to me." Similarly, she said, "All my beginnings, I was always with scholars, all of them from Azhar." When I asked her how Sheikh was different from the others, though, she said that he sat with her and went into depth with her. One day, he sat at my house for about 6 or 7 hours reading from fiqh and sunnah, explaining things to me. This continued in Medina. Hajja Karima stated, "In Medina, when things happened, he would ask my opinion. Oh, what do you think of this? Or did you read this hadith about that? I would say this hadith said such and such and such, and then we would read and discuss that such and such and such. He encouraged me to study more, and he acknowledged the fact that I knew something. We had a mutual respect." Sheikh Hassan gave Hajja Karima many ijazahs in hadith. Her knowledge and close companionship to Sheikh provided her the respect of men and access to them that would not have been afforded to her, especially in places like Nigeria, where she traveled with him, and even in Senegal. Once she did something where Nigerian sheikhs said to her, "Oh, Sheikh Hassan told me that you move like a man." Hajja Karima said she was always doing things normal for American women, but that the women don't do here. She continued, "I would sometimes come with a skirt and a blouse, and he'd give me a dirty look, but just to remind him." She was reminding Sheikh Hassan that she would carry herself with the expectations of American women, which included access to men. Sometimes I would act dumb, like I didn't know the culture at all, period. This way people would excuse my behavior, and I was able to be around some of the scholars or sit up close where I could hear them, and I could meet more people because they thought I didn't know better. I didn't know my place, she said with a laugh. There was a lot of laughter shared between Sheikh Hassan and Hajja Karima Abdul Karim. I will close this talk by returning to the concept of exceptional friendship, which she experienced, not only with Sheikh Hassan, but also with Sheikh Sayyidi Ali Sisi. Once she teased Sheikh Hassan, telling him something along the lines of, "I know you think you're all that." Sheikh Hassan laughed and rejoined, "You're just jealous because you can't be an imam." Sheikh could be light with her because he knew that she was more than an imam. Hajja Karima not only dreamed of the Prophet ﷺ before meeting Sheikh Hassan, but also she dreamed of Sheikh Ibrahim, and she used to see the faces of both the Prophet and Sheikh Ibrahim in a waking state. That's what led Sheikh Ali Sisi to tell people that I was a wali, Hajja stated. Sheikh Hassan would tell Sayyidi Ali Sisi about Hajja Karima all the time. She met Sayyidi Ali on her first trip to Medina in 1979. Ali Sisi was a person, scared me to death, she said. When he looked at you, you could feel him looking at your heart. Even though we didn't spend a lot of time together personally, we became sort of close. He was always asking Sheikh Hassan about me. And when he was in the hospital in Paris and Sheikh Hassan had gone there, I smelled him a letter. Sheikh Hassan said to him as he opened the envelope, "Oh, you got a letter from that woman." His father said, "Oh, who, Karima?" Sheikh Hassan called me, Sheikh Hassan called fussing at me, she said. "How come you and my father are such good friends? You trying to take my father?" After they laughed about it, Sheikh said kindly, "When my father was sick in bed and I called you that woman, he knew exactly who you were." I end with these words by Hajja Shaka Sisi. Sheikh Hassan purposefully made himself accessible and available to the women of the Tariqa, placing our spiritual hand in the hand of the Prophet ﷺ and providing advice and guidance in both spiritual and dunya affairs. Thank you.